Hello and welcome to our second presentation on the ICF Core Sets. Today I will answer the questions: what are ICF Core Sets and how are they created? In case you have not yet seen our first part, the beginner's guide to the World Health Organization International Classification of Functioning, then I invite you to first visit part 1. In part 1, we established what the ICF is and how it hangs together. I had mentioned the example of how we can examine a condition such as deafblindness by putting together various factors and variables that determine the functional experience of deafblindness. For example, how an assistive technology that is considered part of the environment will influence the ability to communicate, which is part of the concept of participation. Behind the ICF is an extensive coding system. This system consists of terminologies that are standardized and distributed and defined for each aspect of body structures, functions, activities, participation, and the environment. They can become very detailed, and if you want to explore these further, there are specific codes only for seeing and hearing functions, but I'm not going to spend too much time on these details today. What is important is that there are over 1,400 codes in total, and that makes it very difficult to use the ICF as an entire tool. Therefore, over time, what has developed are core sets. These core sets are a reduced number of codes that can be used only in the context of a specific disease or disorder. They are thereby shorter and easier to use. There's a very specific process that I will mention today, that I will explain on how a core set is developed. These core sets can be general, they can be abbreviated, or they can be unique to children and youth. They already exist in the context of hearing impairment. They're currently being developed in the context of vision impairment, and we are now working on the cortex for deafblindness. There are specific ingredients that we need to make a core set. First, we have to make sure that the data we're utilizing represents all 6 regions of the World Health Organization. Second, we need to make sure that all individuals that have something to contribute are included in the process. In our case, this includes persons that are living with deafblindness, their family members, as well as experts and specialists that provide services and researchers. We then have to conduct 4 specific studies that I will explain in a moment, merge the data that come from these 4 studies, and then hold a consensus conference that represents all parties in order to come to a final conclusion on what is included in a core set. In terms of the representation of our regions around the world, I would like to briefly show you a list of the countries that have contributed to at least one of the 4 studies that are mentioned. We have representation from the African region, we have representation from the Americas, there is representation from Southeast Asia, there is a lot of representation from Europe, but I am especially excited to know that there is also representation from the Eastern Mediterranean region. And finally, from the Western Pacific region as well. The 4 studies that we need to conduct in order to develop a core set. The first study is a systematic literature review. This review represents the perspective of researchers, and the 2 resulting articles have already been published in the European Journal of Physical and Rehabilitation Medicine. The second study contains interviews with individuals that are living with deafblindness themselves from all 6 regions of the WHO, and this study is completed and currently under review with the same journal. The third study was an online survey that included experts that are working in the field. This study is also already published. The final study was an empirical multi-center study that gives us the clinical perspective of assessing individuals living with deafblindness in a clinical context. The study is already concluded and we're currently analyzing the data. The final step in our process of creating our core sets will occur on October 7 and 8 this year in 2024, when we're holding the International Consensus Conference. This event will be held in Spain, in Tarragona, just outside of Barcelona, and on the day after, on October 9, the policy representatives of our project will be able to present our first version of the ICF Core Sets. Once the presentation has been completed, then we will go into the step of implementing the core sets and refine them over time. I would like to take the moment also to thank the many people of our leadership team who have made this project possible around the world, and specifically thank our funding organizations that have contributed to making this possible and to making our project a reality. If you would like to know more, I invite you to visit our website, whoisdeafblind.org, and follow our current developments. Thank you very much.